Hi, I'm Flip Pedot. Welcome to a very special edition of Old Bull TV. It's our quarantine roundtable, Trading the Apocalypse. And joining me are 5 absolute all-star pro traders and prediction market analysts who will hopefully help us alleviate both the boredom and the terror of this new world by sharing their political forecasts and trading strategies. Now, it's the first time we've tried this over Zoom, so hopefully it won't quickly descend into utter chaos. But either way, we are so glad to have you here with us. Let's shoot the bull. All right, now I want to welcome our panel who's kind enough to join us tonight to share some of their end-time trading strategies. Now, some of these guys are folks that are going to be familiar to many of you in the Predicted community. And a few of them I was fortunate enough to spend some time trading with in person on Super Tuesday, but of course we do not live in that world any longer. So joining me from their respective bunkers are Keendawg from Star Spangled Gamblers.
Yo.
Favorite coin-operated genie, Zoltar.
What it is, what it was, what it will be.
Pratik Chougule, Phillips, and Jason Pipkin. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for assembling the super group. This is very exciting.
Yeah, this is the best and the best of the predicted trading elite. So I'm hopeful that we can bring some insight and entertainment to those.
Definitely more exciting than eating Cheetos on my couch like I have been for the last 3 days.
Well, and that's the great thing about being quarantined is you can do both at the same time, right?
That's right.
I'm actually on the shitter right now, so.
We're all on the shitter filter.
Yeah.
Meta.
All right, gents. So let's go around the horn quickly. And I just want to hear from everyone, basically, how has your trading and research routine changed, in the last few weeks? Are you finding it easier or harder now versus, a few weeks ago when we were all trading the 2020 Democratic nominee horse race, and now when everything is somehow a function of coronavirus? What are you doing differently? And are you finding it easier or harder to predict what's going on to get a sense of what traders are going to do in response to information as it unfolds? Give those at home a sense of what your trade routine is like these days.
I'll start. I'll let you go. Sorry.
Zoltar, go ahead.
So I like to research things that have happened, like legal issues, things like that. I feel like I get an edge on those. And with the coronavirus, it's completely uncharted territory. So I kind of feel like a fish out of water. I'm uncomfortable in this area, but I still got some picks. But overall, I'd say I don't like the coronavirus environment as far as it is with the trades.
I feel like I'm just looking at a lot of candle charts. My mentality is that there will be panic. There will also be normalcy in the future. So I'm just looking at candle charts and looking at kind of good prices to get into stuff that I think will go on as sort of planned. And by that, I mean, I'm really not expecting a big run on primaries being canceled. I'm seeing ways to hedge out the risk if they do get canceled, but really, I'm just trying to be more careful than usual about what prices I'm buying into markets in right now.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any locks out there. I think a lot of it's unknown. Gotta be careful.
Derek, what about you?
For me, it feels kind of like a 2017 week, or at least this last one did, where you're just worrying about tweets and you're doing the 538 market and the new Trump versus Biden market's really hot, and you're just doing the weekly stuff. The long-term stuff I'm not terribly interested in. The only plays I'm making are to lose as much money betting on Joe Biden as I can.
Yeah, that's one of my picks too. It's down to 77 cents yesterday.
And it'll probably get worse. I mean, my reasoning for it is that my rationale is that if he does, die, which I guess is what people are betting on, there'll be so much chaos that I'll make up whatever money I lose anyway. So, I mean, I'd rather just take the risk and get out what I can if he does, survive. And then if he doesn't, deal with it then.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. I think I'm all in on Biden getting the nomination. It was at 78 cents, I think, yesterday. But I'm with him in that there's enough time to bail if I'm wrong on this. So I think it's just a win-win market.
Yeah, and we're going to drill down into the Biden pricing. That's been really interesting this last couple of weeks. But before we get into that, Jason, how about you? How are you finding this environment generally, and what have you changed, if anything, in terms of your approach?
I really love the environment. Anything that's generating uncertainty, which this is great for market action. And then also, everyone's stuck at home. So I track tweet market volume on a weekly basis. And we went down to 3 markets for some reason last week. And we did 3 million shares of weekly volume.
Well, you know what else?
Which is like double what we've seen in the past 2.5 years.
This is a perfect Pipkin environment.
There's also
perfect Pipkin, just tracking the tides coming and going every day.
There's also no sports betting. So everyone who's a degenerate gambler like myself, you got to get that rush somewhere. And this is all we got.
And everybody's going to get $1,200 in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, good point.
Pratik, how about you?
I wouldn't say that my trading strategy has changed all that much. I would say right now, taking advantage of the volatility, I'm trying to buy up long-term shares that I probably would have gotten anyway, Biden being the notable example. But I would say that I've probably benefited from some of the chaos in terms of markets like Andrew Cuomo and other things that probably would not have arisen otherwise.
Yeah. So let's jump into that that Biden market. And I'm going to share that so our viewers can see that at home. Are you guys seeing it on screen?
Yeah.
Boom.
She is. Wow.
Great. So here's the pricing, and this is fairly representative of where it's been lately. Biden's actually been low. I've seen him as low as 74 cents in the last 24 hours. Now, this could be a couple things. Obviously, there's the morose but real possibility that he's a 70-something-year-old man, and were he to contract this virus, as a number of members of Congress and members of the staff of and families of 2020 candidates have.
And the pros are saying about 50% of the population should get it by the time it runs the cycle.
And so it's not to say that Biden would die necessarily, but might it take him out of the running if he had a serious health issue? But do you think it's just that, or do you think the the Me Too issue, that it's really hard for any other news to cut through coronavirus?
Well,
but
I think people also don't understand.
Tara Reid from almost 30 years ago has cut through a bit. Do you think that is hurting the pricing at all too? That maybe there's a 5-10% chance that explodes to the point that the party finds him unacceptable?
It's hard to say that it doesn't. I mean, I'm surprised that it hasn't more, but I think also people just don't understand the way the nomination process works. Like, if you think about it like sports, there's the argument that goes on in March Madness and college football. Does the team who's peaking at championship season get into the tournament, or does the team that had the best season? And the Dem primary, clearly, like, it is who had the best season. So just as a number of math, I think people see new shiny objects. They think those new shiny objects like Cuomo, like, maybe deserve a space, but they don't understand that the rules just are not going to let that happen unless Biden drops out.
Now, let's pretend that Biden does not get it. Say he were to drop out tomorrow. Do you think it is one of these other few? So again, I'll share that pricing screen. You can see that you got Cuomo at 9, Bernie at 8, and then Clinton and others at 5 and below. Obviously Cuomo's in the news a lot. Bernie obviously is actually still in the race, so he should be part of the conversation.
Oh, look, Amy's getting some now. I didn't see
Amy's got a couple cents. Sherrod Brown's got a couple cents. It seems to me, though, there's a decent chance that it could be someone not on this list. And if you were to just buy no across these top 4 or 5, you can basically get the field for 2 or 3 cents.
I'm yes on Biden, no on Cuomo, no on Bernie, no on everyone else. Actually, I'm not touching
Cuomo.
That's what seems odd to me, that you can get basically none of the above, which if Biden's only got a 77% chance of winning it, none of the above seems like a pretty attractive prospect if you can get it for a couple cents. So I don't know.
I don't see what people are thinking.
Say again, is that Zoltar? What's that?
Yeah, I just don't see what people are thinking betting against Biden getting the nomination at this point. The only scenario I can see playing out is if the DNC says, we got the dirt on you with Ukraine, we think you suck, you're past your prime, so we're just going to force you to resign for health reasons, and then put in Cuomo or someone else. But
so what's the trade? Is it Biden yes? Is it just take it?
No. I say Biden yes. Yeah, I just don't think that's a 25% chance of happening. I mean, maybe that's a 5%. I was expecting to get some Biden lottos, after the last debate, but no. Now he's at 25%. I would never have thought it would be that low.
Anyone here short Biden or long anyone else?
Nope.
It's a sucker trade, is it?
Well, I also think it's a good combo trade. If you take Biden, yes, to get the nomination, and then you bet on some of these primaries getting canceled, both could happen. So bet some of the late primaries, the June ones, and then if Biden gets a nomination, maybe they wait till he gets the mathematical certainty and they cancel the remainders. You could win both.
Well, I want to phrase it differently, because it's like, to me, it's the evidence is overwhelming that Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. And to me, the evidence is overwhelming that some of these primaries that people think are going to get canceled are not going to get canceled. But
Not so sure
there
about
are
that.
traders on this call who are like way better at quantitative trading than I am. And my like concern about taking yes positions and Biden winning and taking yes positions in some of these primaries that seem like boner primaries is that there's probably a lot of room for them to fall and lose value in the future. So I'm sort of asking myself which side I want to be on these trades that I think I know the answer to, but like could get worse as time goes on.
And don't forget, just for those of you who haven't paid attention to the rules, if you buy no on every one of the primary markets and the primaries get canceled, every one of those no's is going to come up a winner.
Right.
So you could do no Biden, no Bernie, no Amy, no, I don't know why Yang is on some of them, but Yang's still on there. So get a couple 99-cent Yangs, and then it's almost like a 5% bet you got. It's a pretty good lotto.
I'll say this about the Biden play. If you're trying to figure out whether it's going to go up or down, I think the reason it's down so low at the moment, why it's 77, was 74, is just because of the Me Too story. And as we get further away from that, as time goes by and it doesn't blow up, we're going to go back to, 82, 84.
Well, then, yeah, and an overarching concept I have is that right now, coronavirus has all the momentum. Like everything's shutting down, everything's getting more restrictive. As soon as one of those state primaries happens, I think it starts to flip. Everyone starts to say, okay, now Biden's for sure. They did one mail-in ballot in Wyoming. Now it's going to be Biden. So I would wait. If you're going to buy the Biden lottos, I would wait till that first state primary happens. I guess it's going to happen next month, and then start buying the lottos, because I think it's going to take a big dip after that.
Yeah, no, everyone's going to sell the news. We'll see if Wisconsin goes ahead. They would be the next one to report results if they have an election. But I mean, they can't sustain the price in the 20s for Biden. No. I'm with Derek. As soon as the story goes away.
Do you think any of the primaries will get canceled? Do you think that's a shot?
I'm short against that. I think that, or I'm short on that. The DNC rules are clear. I mean, that you need to have some sort of first expression of preference in order to allocate delegates to a convention, whether that be a virtual convention or whatever.
So playing devil's advocate, though, what if one of these mail-in ballot pollsters gets coronavirus, and Biden's got a mathematical certainty, and there's 2 or 3 states left? Do you think they're going to force 2 or 3 states?
It's also important to remember that the Democratic nomination isn't the only thing on these ballots.
Exactly.
In places. I mean, there's Senate races, local offices, ordinances. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you vote on. You don't just go and vote for Joe or Bernie. So, I mean, you can't really cancel the race for, county commissioner or,
even if people are getting
judge.
sick. I think that could
So,
even.
okay, but
there's some lawsuits that are come out of this.
I'm Team Derek here, and but there are states that separate. I want to say Kansas and maybe Alaska separate their local down ballot elections from their presidential primaries that are still coming up. So I don't know if that's useful information, but it's definitely something that's in the back of my head where it's like,
Alaska's already gone vote by mail, though, right?
Yeah. So, and almost all the states are all absentee. I mean,
their odds are Alaska's odds are ridiculous right now. I think Biden's at like 69 cents or something like that in Alaska.
Good Bernie State if he's still in the race.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn to November then. Let's assume it's Biden. The pricing and the presidential party winner. I'm going to pop that on screen here. It's just about a coin flip now, right? 51 Republican, 50 Democrat, but that could easily be flipped depending on the time of day you're looking at it. If you look at this 90-day chart here, you had it, going into a month or two ago, it was also pretty even. You had then Trump really opening up a pretty decent lead over the generic Democrat. That swung back then, obviously, a few weeks ago when everything changed, but now it's really gotten back to coin flip. Is this one that you guys are playing the swings, or do you have just a long-term position on this, a sense of who has a better than coin flip odds, and how does the whole coronavirus environment affect that thesis either way?
I'm trying to get Trump at his peak. I'm trying to get no on Trump at his peak, just because I think his approval's through the roof now this week. But I think that's really
a jump recently.
Yeah, it took a big jump, and I think that's ready to start to fall. I think the rally to the flag effect is starting to fade, and people are going to start realizing that they know people that have coronavirus and that there's a lot of misinformation coming out. And
about the Biden sexual assault, you think that's going to be a blip, or do you think that's going to have long-term damage?
Biden sexual assault?
Yeah,
I think that's an internet story. I mean, I think it's been reported by like 3 very small outlets that the vast majority, 98% of people aren't going to know about, and the only people that are a bunch of Bernie folks that are already trying to find things to scream in the internet about Joe anyway. So,
well, I mean, also the president when it goes to the general.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's not going to touch this. I mean,
oh yeah, I think he will.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, he
because you don't attack somebody on something that you're weak on.
Well, yeah, he lined up all.
He did it in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that really helped him much. I mean,
No, but it does kind of take away an arrow from his enemy, which is
Well, I don't think Joe's going to touch Trump's misappropriate behavior either. I mean, I just think that's going to be an entirely non-issue. I also think like the senility memes that everybody's throwing around about Joe, I think that's going to go away too. I mean, I think 90% of the campaign is going to be coronavirus. So
yeah, but he still seems to be having gaffes in his recent interview. He did great in the debate, but then after the debate,
he's always going to have gaffes. He always has had gaffes.
That's kind of baked in the Biden cake at this point.
Right, exactly. I mean, if Trump wants to spend all of his time putting together videos of Biden having gaffes, Biden can spend all of his time putting together, stupid things that Trump said. And
well, I mean, but I would say that Trump was elected in 2016. Like, people knew that Trump was a shitty guy. Like, that was not surprising to anyone. Whereas, the portrait of Joe Biden that they're trying to draw is competence and sturdiness and character. And so to me, I don't understand why Trump's campaign wouldn't really, really hit that nail on the head to be a little bit.
That's a counterpunch too. That's his move.
So I mean, especially as he,
even if Biden sort of keeps it together in his remote interviews and his, fireside basement chats that he's doing, online. However the administration handles or mishandles the coronavirus, there is still the sense, this rally around the flag, this wartime presidency notion where Trump is at least sort of out there on the front lines portraying an image of, I'm the guy actually managing this. Biden is bunkered up in his basement, which is where he's supposed to be. It's not as though he's cowering there. He's supposed to be in his basement, but it's probably hard to get past those optics. If there's one out there leading, managing, whether or not you like the job he's doing, most seem to like it more than they dislike it. Whether that'll hold or not is an open question. But to what extent is that optic, as it continues to drag on week after week, if it's month after month of just one guy out there doing the job, the other guy, prisoner in his own home? Does that start to eat away at the overall sense of confidence that might otherwise be a Biden advantage, that he's a sturdy guy? He'd have
and Bernie shares are slowly going up. So maybe that is happening already.
The Bernie shares, you're saying?
Yeah, in each of the states, they're creeping up. It's not just Biden going down; it's Bernie creeping
up.
I think in the short term, the price for Republicans to win the presidency or for Trump is entirely related to his approval rating and perceived competence. And so I would trade that way. So like Derek is thinking Trump's peaking, and so he's trying to get in against right now. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I think Derek might be right. And in the long term, there's just so much that can happen. There's such wide uncertainty with how the outbreak can progress. If things recede sort of and like life goes back to some semblance of normal in July or August, it's a very different campaign than the one where we're looking at a reemergence of an outbreak coming at that same time point, right? So it's so hard to predict. And I don't think any of this stuff matters, Joe in the face. Like Joe's appearance, no one even knows what Joe is doing or cares, right? So yeah, I mean, I would, if I'm playing the markets, I'm playing them purely based on his approval rating. And
so just to be clear, does everyone have Biden yes on the nomination? Is everyone on that gravy train, or is anyone against it?
Yeah, if you want to flip shares, you want to flip on the winning side. So flip yes shares. Rather, I mean, sometimes now I should have, Cuomo, that would have been a cute play, and I saw it coming, but I didn't make it. So yeah sometimes you should make a cute play because it makes more money.
Whitmer coming? For VP?
Yeah, but I got caught on the wrong side of that.
Right.
Well,
It happens to the best of us.
Like the unstated thing that's going on in this conversation is that there's 4 traders on the line, and it seems that there are 4 very different trading strategies on the line right now. And so
everyone seems to think that he's getting the nomination. I don't think anyone actually thinks that's not going to happen.
Sure. I'm with you there. But I always, whenever I talk to Pipkin, and I don't know Derek. Hi, Derek. Nice to meet you. I know you by reputation, strong reputation. But I know Pipkin is you're very good at riding the waves back and forth. I like to kind of buy and hold a little bit, which means I'm maybe a little bit of a beta. But I'm certainly buying and holding Biden at 77 cents to win the nomination. That seems like
that's the play I am. I'm not smart enough to do the waves.
Yeah.
Pipkin, are you having success doing that? Are you riding these little mini Biden waves up and down?
In a lot of states I am. In the nomination, I'm stuck. I'm debating, what price I want to sell out at to get back in.
You're stuck, meaning you're maxed yes, so you don't have any room to.
Right. So I'll probably sell for a loss, then get back in and make it back up.
Sure.
On the way back.
It's
almost always worth it to do that rather than just hold when you're stuck in this sort of high volume scenario.
Let's shift to the Veep stakes for a bit. As you guys mentioned, Gretchen Whitmer, who's trading at 14 cents now, joined by these 7 other ladies. This seems to be solely a ladies' night proposition here. I think actually if we expand this, you got to go down. Well, you got Cuomo here, so the top-ranked gentleman in about 15th place with 2%. Are you guys playing this market?
I got a couple of 1 cent Cuomos.
So, you got 1 cent Cuomos?
I got some 1 cent Cuomos.
What do you guys think about
Cuomo
that?
Coins.
Sell for 2 cents.
What's interesting about
that's my plan.
This really kind of deflates the no price on Joe in the nomination, because these are all Joe picks. I mean, nobody's really thinking about who Bernie would pick, or
whole thing gets turned upside down if he drops out.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody's making a comeback for anybody else to win but Joe. But I don't know. I mean, this is one of those markets where you just buy no's when people get high.
That's what I'm doing.
When
I'm doing the exact same thing.
34, when Klobuchar was in the 30s, you just get no on them. And then, when Stacey Abrams was at 15, now when Gretchen Whitmer's at 15, I bought too early. I think I'm stuck at 90. But I mean, the idea. And Cortez Masto the other day, she went up to about 14, 15.
Good times.
Yeah, that was good times.
What about Warren here in 6th place? Is she also a Biden play, or is that a potential?
She's definitely a Biden play. Yeah. She is Scaramucci's pick. Scaramucci.
She did call him a racist. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Bernie.
Yeah, no. Was it a racist? Sexist, not a racist.
Sexist, sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Kamala Harris called Biden a racist.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Which totally justifies that.
I'm on the same page. I just got a whole bunch of no's. And hopefully it'll be a negative risk at some point. But I got no strong idea on this one, so I just buy no on everyone when they start getting in a hot streak.
Just buy yes on the one that's in the news, and then sell when you're supposed to. I don't know what the good answer to that is. Sell Whitmer right now.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this report about Cortez Masto the other day, and if you're lucky, you see it first on Twitter, you make a lot of money. Right? So that's how I'm playing this market.
I actually think that Klobuchar may be the only one here that's worth buying yes on, and I think there are a few arguments for that. I think one, she basically checks all the boxes of what any Democratic nominee might want. So even if you think there might be a total disaster and Biden ends up not getting the nomination, I think that she is the kind of candidate who would be vetted by anyone on track to getting the Democratic nomination. The fact that Biden has already announced that he's going to pick a woman, I think that's another argument for her by virtue of the fact that many of the other women, I would actually probably say all of them, are very unlikely or certainly should not be trading at the odds that they are. And I think historically we've seen ample evidence that there are sort of years where runners-up or people who ran in the primary, even if they didn't do that well, end up at least getting vetted. And I think the vetting alone will probably push her up into the 30s. So I'm willing to buy her in the 20s. I've already flipped it a few different times when it went into the low 30s. And I think 25 through 27 is probably underpriced for her right now.
How about favorite long shots? As a number of you said, this is a time of really crazy levels of political uncertainty, economic uncertainty, medical uncertainty, but certainly the political and electoral uncertainty. Are there any crazy long shots that you guys are nibbling at, finding value in? Things like whether Trump will not be the nominee, whether Hillary will actually throw her hat in the ring.
Just as a broad concept.
Yeah. Any sort of favorite?
The chance that there's a gold rush just waiting. If they make that announcement, hypothetically, we're going to cancel every primary from June on. There's so much money on the table that I would recommend everyone have a little bankroll just set aside. So if that announcement is made, you can quickly gobble up those shares, because that's how many states are left? Like 20 states, 5-1 odds. You could make some serious money. There's a lot of money on the table. I don't think I can remember a time when so much money in so many markets is on the table. If that
talking about playing the none of the above in the primary markets, if they start getting
just have some money ready. So if that announcement ever is made, you can start gobbling up, the shares in the markets for the primaries that are left. So
got to set some Google News alerts and have your trade screens open and ready to go, right? That's going to be a fast finger challenge to
try to get some of those random, like Puerto Rico or some of the random states people will probably think of last, and hopefully gobble them up, because we got massive amounts of trades in each one of those remaining primaries. So it's going to take a while for it to officially flip to the other side.
So I like two things. One of them, I think that retail is caught on to, which is the idea that President Obama will endorse Biden before the convention, could be a sticky marketplace when you consider like timing of announcements and the weird remote possibility that like the convention will be changed because of the coronavirus outbreak. So I sort of like that, taking the no side of that, which was much cheaper a couple of days ago than it is now. It was like in the high 80s, and now it's in the 70s, I think.
We've got it on screen here now. It came down from looks like 86 down to 75.
Yeah, and that's less attractive now than it used to be.
Well, sorry to cut you off, Keendawg.
No, yeah, go for it.
Same price as Joe in nomination. So yeah, you definitely want to take no on that.
Yeah.
In addition to Joe not getting the nomination, which is what you're betting on in denom, you also get what you just talked about, which is convention being canceled, Obama not doing it. There's plenty upside to know there.
By the way, that the rules in that market, they're set to a date, not to a convention.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, good point. Good point. I'm strong on no debate in April. I think that's not going to happen. I think Biden's got everything to lose with that debate. I think the DNC is in the bag for Biden, so I think they're not going to have that debate.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think they're ever going to debate again? Biden, in his TV appearance recently, said he thinks he's basically done debating, or
yeah, he's already signaled that. He's got the coronavirus excuse he can wrap himself up in. I think there's everything to lose, nothing to gain for him, so he's not going to debate again. So I think that's at 80 cents last time I checked. That's a good short-term 20% return.
Yeah. They can't trade it yet, but assuming this all drags on, do you think there's a chance that Biden and Trump won't debate?
No.
Yeah, there's too much. Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the coronavirus, but I'm going to wait on that one to see how it plays out.
I think voters expect that as like a civic ritual at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They'll do it on Skype or something if they have to.
Yeah.
What?
I know that I'm going to sound like a lunatic when I say this, but you have to be willing, I feel like, to make a couple lunatic moves to get big returns on Predict It. And I really did. I wasn't joking. I really did buy some Cuomo VP shares at 1 cent. Because if the coronavirus outbreak is as bad as experts like Dr. Jason Pipkin on this call, some have suggested that it might be.
I'm an epidemiologist, by the
way. But you're literally a professor, aren't you?
No, I'm a postdoc. It's the next rank down.
Okay, soon to be a commissioned officer in academia. Anyway, if the outbreak is as bad as the worst case scenarios are, that I would think that the taste of voters and then the thought process of people running for president would shift more away from like what we're used to in a vice presidential selection, which is what completes the ticket, what checks the requisite boxes, and shifts into who is a competent administrator that can do the work that is going to be necessary. Now that might be remote, but for 1 cent and a couple hundred shares, I'm going to take a flyer on that.
I'm never against the 1 cent lotto. There's always a shot.
What's the bet?
Cuomo VP at 1 cent.
Oh, Cuomo. Okay, right.
Yeah,
like
well,
Cuomo.
and it doesn't have to happen either. All it takes is Biden to say something nice about him. If someone asks him about it in a question in one of his web videos, that could shoot him up to 5 cents.
Yeah, a clickbait headline about him being considered.
Nice profit.
Yeah, I think for the reasons that Keendawg went over, I think governors in general are kind of underpriced in the VP market. And there aren't a lot. I mean, there's Whitmer, of course, but the governor of New Mexico, Michelle, what is it, Lujan
or something like that. Yeah.
Lujan.
She
call her MLG
too.
MLG.
MLG. She checks a lot of boxes. I think she is down in the 1-2 area. I think he's going to be looking at governors for the competency thing. I mean, it's especially important for him since he is so old that he has somebody on the ticket with executive experience. I don't think senators really, express that kind of confidence for people. So if he can find a governor, and it might be Cuomo, if he does have to change things up. But if he can find a governor that does kind of, meet those needs, I think he's going to go for it over a senator.
Also, I think this class of celebrity senators, I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats, I don't get the sense that they're very well liked by people who actually work in politics. That just socially, these Ted Cruz's and Elizabeth Warren's and Kamala Harris's aren't very well liked by people in the game.
Yeah, Warren didn't even win in her home state.
All right, guys, I want to, for benefit of our traders and viewers here too, not all of these things are going to be outcomes you can directly trade, but we do have assembled here a panel of crack forecasters. What's your take on the big questions that everyone at home, all the hundreds of millions of armchair epidemiologists we now have watching at home? How do you think this whole thing plays out? Not just the political implications, but do you think there's a couple different models coming out of the UK? We have all the we have the Trump forecast. We have the Fauci forecast. You think this is going to be worse than the consensus, better than consensus, or school's going to open this spring, this fall, later?
The most sobering thing that I've seen is one of these disease expert guys, basically the Brad Pitt character from World War Z. He tracks down these pandemics in reverse to see how they started. And the one thing he said that really stuck with me is he said the way this thing stops is when more people have it than don't have it. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's pretty bad. I mean, this thing, God knows how far it's going to go. But if that's the way this thing stops, then the economy and all that, it might be a good time to take your money out of the stock market and start parking it into Yang not getting the Connecticut DNC primary nomination at 1 cent.
I think, there are bearish and bullish cases to be made for how well things will turn out. Clearly, some countries are able to get the outbreak under a manageable level of control. And also, clearly, the United States is way far away from that. And we have an uneven system of governance, a lot of, even at the county level, or it's definitely the state level, everyone's doing it differently. So to me, it feels like it's going to be a months-long game of whack-a-mole.
Then another problem is a lot of these countries are getting the curve to flatten by not letting anyone out of the house, and that's not sustainable. Eventually, people are going to have to start using public transportation and going outside and interacting, and at that point, it's going to spike again. So
it's do we want to be the beneficiaries of whatever the Marshall Plan in reverse is, like the Xi Jinping plan to rebuild our country after 3 months of no one? That's not going to happen. So
eventually, people are going to start traveling again, using trains, using planes, going to concerts, going to comedy shows, going to movie theaters.
Yeah.
The question is, what's going to happen when that happens again? Is it going to be another spike in cases? And basically, it sounds like it is until pretty much everyone starts getting it. Then it'll start to legitimately flatten.
Pratik, you're a very data-driven guy. What's your take on all this, and what are you watching kind of day to day to get a better handle on where things are headed?
I think we're in a pretty classic situation where there's a gap between stated and revealed preferences. Like a colleague of mine who's a pollster at a think tank polled a bunch of women in the Northern Virginia area, and she asked them, how long are you willing to be under a quarantine or some kind of a lockdown to get rid of the coronavirus? And she gave them different dates, and over again, they just kept saying, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Now, I suspect that even if you take the most alarmist sample there, if you actually look at their behavior today, maybe they think it's whatever it takes, but they are going to go to the grocery store when they need to. And the longer that this goes on, I think we're going to, even if people are telling pollsters or even if they're voting on the basis of wanting an aggressive approach to coronavirus, I think there are just limits on how much day-to-day inconvenience people are going to accept. And at the end of the day, just like we accept high death toll for car accidents or heart disease or whatever, because we value other things in society, I think we're eventually, even if a relatively alarmist or even if a worst case scenario plays out with coronavirus, I think it's more likely that the American people will simply begin to tolerate a high death toll on coronavirus rather than being on lockdown indefinitely.
Yeah. Derek, what do you think? We all going to die?
In general, I'm kind of more bearish than Dr. Pipkin over there, and he always changes my mind because I'm easily persuadable. But as to the question of whether we'll remain on lockdown when the death totals are spiking, when they're really high, I think I said it earlier in the broadcast. I think it's really going to be a different scenario when it starts affecting everybody. When your grandma gets it, when you play tennis with somebody that gets it. And if you're talking about 1 million deaths, 300 people. So, you're going to know somebody who's died. You're definitely going to know somebody who's been hospitalized. And, the polling that I'm seeing now suggests that people are really more focused, more scared of getting it themselves or of somebody important getting it than they are of, having the economic conditions that are being projected, losing their jobs, that sort of thing. So I think, I don't think that there's going to be kind of a drum roll to reopen the country if there is, this cataclysmic death total. I'm bearish on that. I think, the worst case scenarios are probably not going to come to fruition. I don't know if that's being optimistic or what, but I think once we get on the other side of the curve, governors will start loosening things up and Trump will do what Trump does. And I think, I think people will just kind of go back to normal, but that's at the other end of the curve. And I've seen, various projections that could be at the end of April, could be at the beginning of June. Nobody really knows. But I'm in general.
Yeah, we definitely have not hit peak though. That's bad news.
Well, but don't forget all these celebrities that have it, and it's only a matter of time before they're on Instagram, doing, brandishing their health.
Yeah, doing a mutter marathon or something like that.
Yeah. So what do I know about the future? Very little.
But all of those celebrities, they get the care that they need, because they can afford it, and because hospitals make a special effort to save Prince Charles and Idris Elba. Even that, we're not seeing our heroes die, but when it comes to grandma.
Although Crocodile Dundee just bit it.
Did he really?
Yeah, coronavirus.
No shit. Hey.
That's what I heard. I don't know. That's what my wife told me.
What was it, Paul Hogan?
Yep.
See if we can do a real-time fact check.
I might have just fake news to you. I'll credit my wife if I did.
I don't know. I think that
yes,
Americans know they're different from celebrities.
Crocodile Dundee star Mark Bloom. This is not. This is the rival, love interest rival. This is
I fake news. I'm sorry.
Crocodile.
Zoltar, apologies.
Hogan lives, although he's
my condolences. My apologies to the family and friends of Mr. Hogan.
I would make a few other arguments for a return to normal scenario. I think one is the fact that the reality of the gravity of coronavirus to a certain degree doesn't matter where you look at the partisan divide on where people are actually getting their information from on coronavirus. I think this was a week or two ago, but But Republican voters are overwhelmingly more inclined to believe Trump and his assessment of coronavirus than they are of the media or experts, even if you figure that Trump has a loyal base of maybe 25 to 30%. That's a lot of people. I think the other thing to think about is that even if we end up seeing a high death toll on coronavirus, it's probably going to be concentrated in certain areas of the country. And I think that the president is calculating, probably correctly in my view, that he has a lot to lose politically by economic activity and the economy just coming to a standstill, especially if these bailouts and other emergency measures don't have the intended impact they have. So I'm not discounting the possibility of coronavirus being as serious as many experts are thinking. I'm just skeptical that even if it is serious, that this degree of alarmism and lockdown can be sustained through November.
Yeah, that's a good point. As you said, I mean, everything at the end of the day is political, and that can make difficult challenges even more difficult. It's obviously a very difficult time, not just for traders, not just for the economy, but for families, for healthcare professionals, for all the frontline workers, and really for everyone. There's obviously no one in this country, really on this planet, this doesn't touch. But really appreciate you're all taking some time out today to join us and to help traders get at least a better sense of what they might be able to do about it in terms of managing their predicted portfolios, perhaps getting a better sense on actually forecasting the future with some degree of confidence. As Keendawg put it, what do we know about the future? Not much, but that's what makes an interesting market.
We won't bet on it.
You all interesting folks to talk to. Before I let you go, let's go around the horn one more time very quickly. Identify for our viewers what you find as the most mispriced trade.
All right.
Zoltar's already got them on screen. Why don't you go ahead?
I'm
first.
stealing one from Paul
Tell
Rove.
us
I'm
how to
doing
make
the market
money.
board. These are the Zoltar's Armageddon picks. First one, no April debate. Biden, yes, 78 cents. Everyone seems to like that. I don't say surf those waves, though. I say just buy it and hold it. Wait until the next primary if you're going to bet against the primaries. And be ready for the gold rush. Have some money set aside. So if they do make the announcement that some of these primaries are canceled, you can gobble them up. Hopefully get them before they flip. Those are my picks.
Pratik, how about you?
I think one of the best deals right now that people aren't talking about is the odds of Barr getting indicted. I think that's still in the low 90s. I don't see any evidence that may happen, so I'm
What's the timeline for that one? End of the year?
I'm not sure, actually.
I'm going to pull it up on screen here for folks. This is federal charge against William Barr confirmed by December 31st. Currently trading at 7 cents. You think it's worth well more than that?
I think it should be at 98. No.
Oh, sorry. So you think this is a short?
So it's a nice, safe investment if you're going to start moving your money from the stocks to here. There's a good one to gobble up.
Derek, what are you doing for us?
How about just B1 in the new Biden versus Trump market? That's a new exciting market. Everybody should be trading it. We're going to be doing it for a long time. It's a weekly recurring market. B1's kind of dead. So I just want your viewers to take a look at the weekly markets.
What is that market? It's a polling market or
yeah, it's a polling market. It's RCP, so you get to deal with their typical shenanigans. But it's going to be recurring every Monday, unless they change something. But it's a good time to get in. This is the first week we've done it, so none of us really know how to do it at the moment. So
what's it at right now? Even Steven or Biden got an edge?
Well, Biden's up by what, 6.1 at the moment?
5.8, I think.
5.8. But yeah, B1 is not going to happen this week, but some people think it is. So I know
it's trading at about 28 cents there. So if you're right that that's not going to happen, you make what, about almost 50% return inside?
Yeah, on Monday.
Yeah, on Monday. Okay.
Tomorrow.
I'm going in, Pip.
Derek says thank you for the fills.
Keendawg, you got a pick for us?
I mean, look, like I'm betting on Joe Biden where it's obvious that he's going to win and expecting that disaster that people are predicting to not cancel the election. And then, I mean, if I'm going to throw some controversy on the fire here, I will say that quietly, I have been, oh boy, talk about predictions you really don't want to make if they go wrong. I have been buying shares of Ed Markey winning that Massachusetts Democratic primary, sort of speculatively on the basis that I see turnout going down and a reliable 30-year union. I don't. It's just a lark that I'm following right now.
I like it.
And he's trading at 42, so you can more than double up on that one if Keendawg is right.
And I think I got it at like a 38-cent no or something like that on Joe Kennedy. But, maybe I'm just an idiot. I'm wrong sometimes. So.
And Mr. Pipkin, Dr. Pipkin, apologies.
Let's say, I don't have anything super underpriced to point out. Obviously, Joe Biden everywhere. Joe Louisiana is great. If you're looking for somewhere that he really should win, people think it might get canceled, whatever. You can also take a lot of safe bets like Trump to be the nominee, and then you can hedge it with Mike Pence to be the next to win the presidential election. And that's a play I made at 1 cent, but it's a little bit expensive now at 4 cents. If Trump gets infected, and that is a news cycle, you get a lot of value there.
Sure.
Otherwise, you just collect on the Trump being the nominee.
And then that'll give you.
If either Joe or Trump get it, the markets are just going to go nuts.
Yeah, the website crashes within like 5 minutes. So you gotta be
That's another one to be locked and loaded. See if that happens.
Well, gentlemen, again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I want y'all to stay healthy, try and stay sane, find some things to do, find some way to get some exercise inside. Hope you all come back and join us again. Let's try and make this an ongoing thing. I think this would be entertaining and informative for our viewers at a time when they've got a lot of hours of content to fill and a lot of buckets of trades to fill in their portfolio too. Thanks again for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, Flip.
Take care.
Pot cookies.
Well, hopefully that gives you a few trading ideas or at least markets to keep an eye on. If you've got your own apocalyptic trading strategy, let us know by connecting with us on Twitter at OldBullTV. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel before you leave. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next time.